Hello guys, what is up? Domino here. We're doing the next part of my Final Fantasy Tactics playthrough. This is Ygraph. We finally meet up with him and old Gustav, the, the leader of the thief army that I just laid the smackdown to in the rat cellar. They talk about this whole class warfare thing, and they do kind of a cool. I remember at the time when I saw this scene, I thought it was so cool how they did the thing where he jumps and right through the sternum. Ugh. Now this guy that you see laying down here on the other end of the map, not in green, the guy in the red, that's the Marquis, the guy that was kidnapped, that we're supposedly chasing after. And you later find out that perhaps that kidnapping was not so random after all. August is just like crazy. August is like a cowboy over here. He wants to fight everybody, and you generally start to dislike him further and further into the game. And I'm not gonna spoil it for you, and I promise you guys I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But he let's just say he's not always your friend, from what I remember. In fact, everyone in this game at some point or the other betrays you. It's kind of like a theme. It's like an overarching theme of Elmdor. That's his name, Elmdor. So now August is pissed, as usual. And he looks like he's 12. I mean, all the characters look like they're 12. So now we're headed back to Igros Castle, and this actually isn't the next story mission that there is. This is a random encounter on the way to Igros Castle, but I recorded it anyway because it's part of the story. Not really part of the story in a sense that it has anything to do with the story, but part of the story, and that is part of the Final Fantasy Tactics experience, random encounters. Not intentional random encounters like the kind that you do on purpose to level up your characters, like the actual random encounters that are random. Now over here, I got a really awesome skill. I got Weapon Break. I never actually, when I first played through the game, I never actually made a knight character that had all these skills yet. And hopefully I'm trying to do it with my main character. I love that the knight skills can break items and stuff. Breaking a guy's sword can really cripple his ability to deal damage in this game. So I got a Weapon Break for my main character, and you'll see, not in this episode, but in the next episode, I actually get to use that skill, and it goes to very good effect. Turns out people can't do very much when they're just punching. But after, sort of like a ritual, after every fight, I go through and figure out which skills I need to get. Charge +3 is awesome for my knight because it lets him charge up a big boost of a big super swing, and it really helps me in the fight upcoming. Not this fight you're about to see, but the next fight. The obvious name charge means that it takes time to charge. So if you're gonna use charge +3, you need about. Sometimes it happens in 2 turns. Sometimes it's a little longer than that. I don't remember. I don't really keep track. But it's really handy, especially for doing lots of damage to a single target. I've never been a fan of time mages. Never been a fan. if I do magic, like weird spells like that, I generally stick to offensive spells or any kind of spell that causes an enemy to fight for me. That is really handy and can turn the tide of battle, especially if you have a thief that can charm other characters, which is awesome. And the mediator. The mediator is one of my favorite classes in the whole game, and he's actually really handy because he can convince other enemies to join your team and fight for you. And it's a very rare chance that it succeeds, but when it does succeed, it really turns the tide of the fight. Especially when you convince a super tough guy to join your party. And he's there permanently. Once he joins, you get all his items, you get all his... He joins your party for good. And you can do that with monsters too. Monsters can be convinced to join your party. And there were a couple monsters that I ended up collecting. There's an undead monster, I think, in Swiggy Woods. That's pretty cool. Not the beginner ones, but they have different levels where they... certain monsters have different flavors where I'm reminded of a lot of typical RPG games where they reskin the same monster but change up the name and make him a little tougher so that you kind of have some variation. He may be a different color or whatever, but towards the end of the game you meet a lot of characters which are... or monsters which are the same as what you've been seeing but are higher level and have different skills, and those are fun to collect. Alright, now that I'm done with all that stuff, I am going to go back to Igros Castle. And I guess go report the news that we saved the Marquis to my brother, who I forget his name, Diceyarg. I think his name is Diceyarg. I don't know how to pronounce all these names, but people have weird names. And then you run into a thief that has the name Neil. You know, everybody has these weird ass names, and then you got Neil the thief, who you'll meet, I think, in the following episode. So I actually was feeling pretty confident when I went into the Thieves' Fort, and you're not going to see this here. This is the Mandalia Plains. But the Thieves' Fort, I would say, is a tough battle in that, but not tough in that it gives you a different set of objectives. And I'm going to talk about that more when I go to play that one. But I'm pretty happy with my setup. Unfortunately, for a lot of the main quest battles, I don't have enough character slots to bring my thief. And I really want to level up my thief and get her to a point where she can do that high-level thief stuff. I never miss an opportunity to steal gil, which is money, gold, or whatever, from the monsters, because it's easy job points. It's an easy way to level up your characters. I know if you have these things in your party, you can actually ride them, and they lay eggs and all this stuff. Like this whole aspect, this game is so complex for especially for a game that is not that graphically intensive. There's so many different dynamics to think about, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's really detail oriented. I would say it's good for people that like a whole lot of factors to think about. And I thought I would get lucky there, get a critical hit or something, but alas, no. I'm gonna have my thief steal gil. That skill, Steel Heart, is really cool because you can charm male enemies and make them fight for you. Which is partly why I made a female thief, because most of the most of the enemies in this game are guys. Although there are some notable female enemies in this game, but I'm not going to ruin it for you. I know if the charm spell actually works and the computer uses it on you, is a huge pain. I love that charge up. It does crazy amount of damage. Crazy! I'm almost tempted to make my main character an archer for a while and get his charges all... Because there's a charge plus 20, I think it goes all the way up to. I don't know if you saw, but I think in the last place that I was at, Igros Castle or whatever, I don't think he has it yet, but I did end up buying a whole bunch of new equipment for my guys. This random encounter is really easy, considering what I've had to deal with when I was farming and raising my guys' levels up. There were only 3 enemies versus, what, how many guys do I have? 4? 5? I need to look up what Protect does. Some Final Fantasy fan needs to tell me what Protect does, because I need to know if it's useful or not. I mean, I know I'm getting JP skills for using it, but if it's not worth it, I probably won't use it anymore. I like that the wizard looks kind of like a Jawa from Star Wars. He's got these 2 little eyes poking out of his, his coat. I don't know why he looks that way, but it's a Japanese game, folks. Best to not ask questions. It's my motto. This guy's hanging back, Pieria. Boom. 54. Every time. In fact, I've done more than 54 damage. You'll see that in the next episode. Move this guy up. I don't remember what I do. I think I do fire. I generally associate fire with goblins, but... Oh, and I got a raise skill. I don't know if you saw that, but I learned how to resurrect folks, which is kind of handy, but generally speaking, unless the dead body is completely by itself, like there's nobody around it, there's really no point to resurrecting someone. It only buys you a few times, but from a strategy sense, it forces the enemy that's gonna waste its turn on re-killing that person. So in that kind of way, it distracts somebody, because the AI puts high priority on wounded targets. So if you want to distract the computer, resurrect somebody in the middle of a fight. And it resets the counter, more importantly, which is really the whole point. When that counter gets reset, you don't risk losing characters. And trust me, I lost Dick, my favorite squire. I still miss you, Dick. Now, I don't know why the AI does this, but when he's in a wounded state, he will always use a darkness spell on somebody. I don't know what he hopes to accomplish by doing that. Alright, so that is the end of this random encounter. In the next episode, we're going to Igros Castle, and we're going to go to a thieves' fort and kick some ass. So, thank you for watching. Please leave me a comment. Please subscribe, like this video. Stay tuned for the next episode. It is coming up. Thank you.